Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys in California. Before I begin, give all praise to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who was wisdom? Who was the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening. Gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past. In order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth. So we need a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. As we're looking around and you're seeing these events transpiring daily, starting to see how the other nations are just losing their minds more and more. How the Father is exposing them day by day. The hypocrisy is being exposed day by day. You see Biden making comments like this one right here. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. You know, it's just these people have just totally have amnesia conveniently of the actions that their nations, that their people have pulled for the last few hundred years. So I'm saying that those are the things, the actions of Putin are so heinous within a month that he can't remain in power. But these people are the same people who've gone around worldwide for the last 500 plus years, raping, robbing, murdering, and they seem to think that they're always going to be in power. They even make up whole dogmas that they never have to pay for any of their actions. And that, you know, at the end, they're just going to get raptured away. But, you know, they find one person who's been at, you know, doing some things for a month, and it's the worst thing that's ever happened. This just shows you how absolutely ridiculous these people are. Now you got to understand, these people are the ones that have been teaching us about religion, teaching us about laws and fairness in the judicial system, teaching us about history and science. And they can't even admit their own history. Just, I mean, absolutely mind-blowing at times. How they just, you know, they come up with these things. I'm sitting here just listening to some of these preppers, and if it's things that they don't agree with, they just act as if it's just crazy. If it's something that they don't agree with, you're just crazy for bringing it up. They never explain anything away. They just, you know, oh, that's crazy. You trying to say America's done stuff like this? Oh, you're crazy. You've lost your mind. But that's exactly how they've been able to get away with all of their actions for the last few hundred years. Never explain anything. Never have to actually go out and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt what they're saying is true. I mean, really, for God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. Talking about the things that he's done. All the while they have forgotten their own history. But see, I'm sure the Most High is saying the same thing about you guys. Most High is saying, hey, you guys cannot remain in power. But see, you guys seem to think that doesn't apply to you. But the same measurements, you know, that you're applying to other people are going to be applied to you. The Most High is not going to allow you to stay in power. The Most High is not going to allow your priests and pastors to be in positions of power because they've done nothing but spread lies. See, what the whole world does not understand, see, is that the Christian religion, the Christians, the Catholics, you guys were not the first church. You were not the first religious order. The first church or the first religious order were the Israelites. They were the ones who had gone around spreading the truth worldwide. And when the Most High elevated the Gentiles, they went around all over the world spreading their truth, but their truth had already been spread before they got there. That's why when they were taking down the Druids, it was already said that many of the things that the Christians were trying to preach, the priests of the Druids had already preached worldwide. That's why in the Bible it talks about when you're going to come preaching another Jesus. You guys act like that's something that's coming after you. But you were the ones that came preaching another Jesus. All the things you're still looking for, this new world order that Biden mentioned, and all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, this is prophecy right here. He's admitting that he's part of the new world order, like it's to come. They are the new world order. They already took that new world order worldwide hundreds of years ago. There's not going to be a brand new world order of Gentiles. So like one group of Gentiles brought the new world order hundreds of years ago, 1492 over here. And all of a sudden now in 2022, another group of Gentiles is about to establish another new world order. I don't know where they do that at. That's not in the scriptures anywhere. And that's not what's coming down the pike right now. See, the Most High is exposing the Gentiles before he takes them down. He's not exposing the Gentiles so that they can have a redo and a continuance of their, of the crazy things they've been doing. The Most High is exposing you before he takes you down. And that's the beautiful times that we are living in. The Most High is exposing the fact that you guys have nothing original. You have to copy the things that we are talking about. We talk about the number 7 and how important the number 7 is. All of a sudden, other videos pop up talking about the number 7. If we're talking about, hey, if you believe in the Most High, shouldn't you want, destruction to come? If you believe in your rapture, shouldn't you want that destruction to come? Now, I heard someone saying we should always pray for peace. I don't know where they say that at, because there's a time and season of everything. There's not always a time and season for peace. This is not the time and season for peace. Ever since you guys have been in power, there's been no peace. So why all of a sudden you guys seem to think that we always, as a Christian, we always need to pray for peace, when you guys have not done that? You were praying for the Most High's will to be done. And at that time, the Most High's will was the destruction of his people. At that time, the Most High's will was the bringing down of the Most High's chosen people. And you guys were down with that. But now we've come to the time when the Most High is going to now bring you down. And now you don't want to pray for the Most High's will to be done. You want to pray for that peace. You want to pray for it to go back to your normal. And that's not going to happen. And like I said, the Most High is he's every day, we're looking more and more at the Most High exposing these other nations. Someone had mentioned in the comment section, and I saw this too from Paul and Adrian a couple of videos back, where he was pretty much talking about there not being a rapture, which I found it pretty amusing considering the fact that that's what we've been talking about. There's not going to be a rapture. And it was amusing to hear one of the preppers bringing that out. It's like, they're bringing out information They're getting their toe wet. They're getting their toe in the water, but they're not willing to jump all the way in just yet. But they will if the Most High allows them to. But like we said, these are the times that we are in. Talking about, I'm just cracking up listening to how they're talking about just how bad things are going for Russia and how great things are going for Ukraine. And it's like, hey, man, we don't know what's going on with what. Because depending on who you're listening to is a perspective you're going to get. And that's how it's been this whole time. One thing I do know is the perspective is always from a Gentile point of view. Somehow one group of Gentiles is always going to be winning. You guys are always ignoring the true Israelites. You're always ignoring the true plight of the Israelites. And that's why the Most High has given us our voice to be able to bring out this information to the family and to the world on our own. Because we cannot trust the other nations to tell the truth. They've lied about absolutely everything. And they will continue to lie about absolutely everything all the way until the end. And when you really sit there and think about it, what have they told you the truth about? They've lied about absolutely everything. And they continue to lie all the way until the end. Still pushing white Jesus. Still pushing the rapture. Still pushing their moral authority over everyone else. They're the only ones that the Most High talks to. They're the only ones that can interpret Scripture. So-called black people all come from Africa. And that's where we're all going back to. They've ignored all of the history of the things that happened before, they were established. But that's okay. Because like I said, the Most High is just exposing them day by day. I was checking out this video, this series, The Vikings of Valhalla on Netflix. And I watched the first episode. And it was just absolutely amazing to see the things that they're showing. At the beginning, the English, is a spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it, I want to turn off the next minute or so. But the English had made a agreement or a treaty with the Danes. And they had been living together, I think, for around 100 years or something like that. And they had been getting along. So the King of England, I guess, called the King of the Danes to come, and they ended up sitting together and having dinner. But there was always treachery with the English. And this night, they just decided that they were going to exterminate the Vikings. I shouldn't say the Danes, I should say the Vikings. So they just sent out the word, sent out the order, and, unsuspecting Vikings were just slaughtered. It wasn't warrior to warrior. They were killing unarmed men, women, children, breaking their treaty. And it was amazing to watch because that's exactly what they've done this whole time. If you watch Da Vinci Code, they talk about that's exactly what they did to the Knights Templars. I said, these people have always broken treaties, and it's like they're not people of their words. They lie about absolutely everything. And the fact that you still got people that are still like listening to them, it just baffles the mind. But these guys just, hey, they were having dinner, and they just ended up having the archer just popped in real fast and just started shooting the unarmed people. And then what happened later on is that I guess a bunch of these Vikings had become Christians, and they were all called to come together to seek vengeance for what the English had done to them. But they couldn't get along because half of the Vikings were Christians, half of them were so-called pagans. And at first they didn't want to fight with each other. They didn't want anything to do with each other because the Christians thought they were better than the pagans. And what's crazy is this. These Vikings had a bunch of their family members. These Christian Vikings had a bunch of their family members killed, by these Christians, these English Christians. And they still wouldn't renounce their faith. They were still worshiping white Jesus. So it was just amazing to see that whole dynamic because, excuse me, you see that still today. You see how through history, you can just look and see how absolutely horrible the church has been. How they've broken every agreement. How they are not Christ-like at all. How they've murdered, raped, robbed, everything. And people still support the institution. They still think that this institution is going to lead them into heaven. That was going on in the show, and it still goes on today. You got Israelites that are still stuck in the church, who turn a blind eye to all the horrible, heinous things that the church did in the past and continues to do today, all because they've put their allegiance in an institution. But I'm seeing more and more people with videos talking about the hypocrisy of the church, talking about the horrible things that the church has done, but they refuse to take it to the next step. If the church is wrong, if the church has been horrible and heinous things, what's the next step? Who has the truth? Who should we be listening to? That's the step that the vast majority of the world isn't taking right now. The Most High is exposing them to the truth, letting them see all these things. You're seeing it in all these shows. But what's the next step? They've portrayed anything that was against what the white Christians have set up as pagan. They make it. They've made it seem as if there is no alternative to the Catholic, Christian, Priest of Mahan church. But the Father is showing the world that there is an alternative to the ones that are being called here at the end. You can follow the Most High. You can cleave to his people. He's showing you the other option that the churches have been hiding this whole time. He's showing you that there was a whole religious order before white Jesus was brought to the world. It wasn't just all paganism, horrible, satanic things. Because really the church just copied many of the practices that were there before. As you can see, these churches do nothing with originality. It's not in them to do anything original. That's why you see them copying what we're doing now. Because the scriptures, as it talks about in Psalms 147, 19, and 20, were given to Jacob. They were not given to the other nations. So they can't understand what's in the scriptures. And see, this plays out on a macro level and a micro level. On a macro level, you've seen the churches going worldwide and spreading their so-called good news. But all they did was copy the original. They copied the Israelites. They copied our information. That was on a macro level. It still happens on the micro level. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay? Because I have some more information to share with you guys. But I can touch on it right now. It also happens on a micro level. See, the Most High will give you. We all know. You can read between the lines. You can know exactly what we're talking about right now. The Most High gives His people information. He gives His people books. He gives His people understanding. And then Satan will send his little minion to try to come in and act as if, oh, we're friends, we're brothers, we can do this together, we can build together. But then later on, this little minion of Satan is going to try to take that information and usurp authority and make it seem as if he was the one that the information was given to originally. This has happened again and again and again. So Most High lets you see it on a worldwide scale, but He also lets you see it even in the Hebrew Israelite movement. So the one that comes in second is the one that's usually, set up and is connected with the adversary and tries to come in and take those seeds that were being dropped, okay, and tries to make it seem as if they were the original people or the original person that this information was given to, and that the original people were pagans. The original ones that was given, the Most High gave it to, were into witchcraft, were into mysticism, and you can't listen to them because they're going to lead you to hell. But me who got the information secondhand, I'm the one, okay, that has the understanding. You need to follow me. And then they try to make it seem as if the original was never the original in the first place. You should see how this is working out and playing out even to today. The Most High is showing you that. But see, at the end, the Most High, like He always says, you're going to know who His chosen are. You're going to know who the Most High has chosen. You're going to know who the Most High is dealing with and who He's not. These things have happened to our people again and again and again. We all know who the Most High used to bring out these other books. We know who He used to open up the second stick. Then we know how other people want to come in and try to usurp authority. But we all also know how this story ends and how the Most High is going to say, this is my son. This is the one, these are my people. These are my children. These are the ones right here that I'm dealing with. These right here, I don't know them. These right here, I'm not dealing with. This is the beauty of when you have your eyes opened. The playbook doesn't change. They accused Yahushua of being into witchcraft. Why is that? Right? Because he was bringing another doctrine. He was bringing the original information, the original understanding, the one that was only given to a certain few. And when the ones who can't, get that information, can get that understanding, they try to usurp authority and then claim that the other people, the original ones, are into witchcraft, mysticism, reading other books, reading Kabbalah, reading Zohar, reading all these other things that they shouldn't be doing. So like I said, when you think of these, think of it on a macro level and a micro level. And the Most High is showing us how all this stuff works out. So, you're sitting here looking at like Biden here. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. You would think that America's been here thousands of years. But we all know that America is a relatively young country. And these Europeans have gone worldwide, doing nothing but destroying our people, stealing our information, stealing our resources, and then putting themselves up into these positions of power. I'm sure you can find many examples of these things happening. Many examples that escape me, but I'm sure that Israel will remember many times how this has happened. And that's the beauty of the times that we're living in right now. You're going to see the other nations try to come in, steal information, do videos, try to give information, but you're going to see right through it because their understanding is very limited. And their understanding is going to be limited as long as they continue to try their best to ignore the Most High's children. They're trying to hide who we are. No matter what they do, that's what they're trying to do. All these horrible, heinous things that they are accusing each other of, they've all committed against the Israelites. So all the things that they say that like this person can't stay in power, this person's a monster, this person's horrible, all those things can be said about every single one of them because they've committed those types of actions. They've committed those crimes against the Most High's chosen people. So every time they say things like this, they're really condemning themselves. They're condemning themselves with their own words. That's what you're seeing the Father doing. The Father is condemning them with their own words. Biden might have said this talking about Putin, but the Most High is going to say, hey, this applies to you too. This applies to your people too. This applies to all these other nations that have been in Psalms 83 and been confederate against the Most High's chosen people. The Most High was saying, hey, for God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. These men cannot remain in power. These countries cannot remain in power. These people cannot remain in power. You're falling on your own sword. The Most High is making you fall on your own sword. And all praise is to the Most High for letting us see these actions and how they're really playing out. You know, it's already been ordained in the spirit world. And now the Most High is just making them, you know, pretty much make these proclamations against themselves, you know, right here and for the whole world to see. All praise is to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom, family.